Hey everyone, and welcome! Aliens in Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Sounds crazy, right? Well, actually, it may be more of a reality than you think, and I promise after we cover some of these interviews from Aonuma, you will be more than convinced. Before we get into some of these interviews with Aonuma, Miyamoto, and others at Nintendo about Breath of the Wild 2, as well as details and real facts that actually hint toward this, let's remember, Nintendo had plans for aliens to not only appear in the original Breath of the Wild, but multiple spaceships basically having what looks like a full-on war with Hyrule. They personally showed off the gameplay demo multiple times, and this isn't even the first time aliens appeared in a Zelda game. Let's begin with aliens in Majora's Mask, and then a special interview that ties everything together. In the game, we are told every year, 2 days before the Carnival of Time, the aliens, only known as them, arrive to abduct the special cows of Romani Ranch. It's thought this is because the aliens are after the Chateau Romani, which provides its user with an infinite amount of power, magic, or energy. This infinite energy would give perfect reason as to why the aliens steal the cows. A lot of theories exist on their origins and the true purpose of the aliens, which we may make a video on later if y'all would like. So comment below to let us know. Now that special interview on Majora's Mask and aliens in the Zelda series. Well, we all remember the interview from E3 2019 where Aonuma had multiple interviews, and anytime anyone asked him about Breath of the Wild 2, he would constantly say that it would be inspired by Majora's Mask and be even darker. In fact, they said it would be the darkest Zelda game. Aonuma actually has an interview on exactly why he included aliens in Majora's Mask in the first place, and it may help convince you. Quote, "The reason we used this at the time was because Japan was experiencing something of a UFO boom. And it even went so far as for shows on TV to cover it and explaining to people what cattle mutilation was. So even to see words as scary as cattle mutilation on TV and the idea of UFOs abducting people led to this whole idea of Earth being invaded by aliens becoming rather popular. I thought it would be really interesting and scary to use this in a game. That's how we decided to go with that."
Basically, aside from it being in pop culture at the time, it was something that Aonuma and others at Nintendo thought was very dark and scary. So with Aonuma's interview stressing that Breath of the Wild 2 would take inspirations from Majora's Mask, the only other Zelda game that had aliens, and he wants Breath of the Wild 2 to be the darkest Zelda game, it all just fits a bit too perfectly. Especially after considering this next part. We have lots of interviews stating that Breath of the Wild 2 began because they had too many ideas for DLC for the original Breath of the Wild. And it's very obvious that most of Breath of the Wild's DLC actually ended up just being concepts and ideas that went unused in the original game. The biggest example of this being the Master Cycle. I mean, just take a look at some of the unused concepts inside Breath of the Wild's book, Creating a Champion, which originally released around the same time as the Breath of the Wild DLC. And just look at how many unused concepts from the book finally released as actual DLC. We even see another huge example of this in Breath of the Wild 2's reveal trailer, with a giant island floating in the sky, and a human form of Ganondorf on top of it. The only difference in the trailer is that Ganondorf isn't standing on top of the island. So to wrap this up, we know that Nintendo didn't just have the idea of having aliens appear in Breath of the Wild. They went as far as actually programming it and making it completely playable. Again, they didn't just give us a screenshot or concept artwork, like with Link's Master Cycle. They actually made it completely playable, and they showed us multiple times. It wasn't as simple as showing it one time and completely forgetting about it. They showed it off at multiple conferences. They tell us Breath of the Wild 2 came to be because they had too many ideas to fit into a simple DLC expansion, so they decided to make another entire game based off of those ideas. We have a lot of evidence of DLC just being unused content from the original game. Then, on top of this, we have Aonuma himself telling us multiple times that Breath of the Wild 2 would be inspired by and be darker than Majora's Mask. the only other Zelda game that had aliens make an appearance. And he specifically said he wanted to add the aliens in Majora's Mask because they were dark and scary. We have laid out all of the evidence for you, so let us know. Do you want aliens or other paranormal or extraterrestrial creatures return in Zelda Breath of the Wild 2? Will they be after the Sheikah technology? Could they have actually been the inspiration on all of the advanced Sheikah technology? Please subscribe and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you. If you are a fan of our Zelda videos like this, Zelda Theories, our Zelda podcast, the 𝐓𝐼𝐧𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐽 on iTunes, we would all really appreciate your support at patreon.com/GameOverJesse. That and buying our t-shirts will get you and your YouTube or Twitch a shout out every week on our 𝐓𝐼𝐧𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐽. And if you send in a photo of yourself in our GameOverJesse or 𝐓𝐼𝐧𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐽 t-shirt, we can use it for promotion at the end of some of our videos.